Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner. And with me today is Meredith Hobson. She is the Senior Coordinator of Foreign Language and ESL, and we're going to talk about Foreign Language Week. So welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you.
Yeah, Foreign Language Week is awesome. We've got a lot of recognitions for this month. So tell me, why is it important for us to recognize Foreign Language Week?
Well, the best part to me about the Foreign Language Awareness Week is that it does promote all the real reasons that we should study a foreign language. There's so many cool software and technologies out there now that, like Google Translate, Rosetta Stone, Duolingo, there's all these apps and cool technologies to help you learn a foreign language. But one thing that those are missing is the interconnectedness, the human connection that goes along with it. And the real reason we study foreign language, according to our American Council of Teaching Foreign Languages, are the 5 C's. And it's communication, and it's real communication, the negotiation of meaning between people, cultures, communities, connectedness, and comparisons. And so, when you hear that, none of that really mentions verb tenses and grammar. It's all about human connection and negotiating meaning.
I'm glad you explained that.
Yeah, and so the study of foreign languages just promotes that and says, it's fun to actually study it, and here's what you can learn and the friends that you can make, and ways that your eyes can be opened.
What are some ways we're going to be celebrating this in our district?
Well, you'll see all kinds of things. Historically, in the past, I'll just lay out some things. They've had door decorating contests in the high school. If I recall, Norview High School, I know last year, almost did like a spirit week for Foreign Language Week. And one day they all dressed up in traditional dresses from the countries in which they're studying languages. They'll of course have intercultural festivals or food days where they bring in food or prepare foods. Some folks will have in guest speakers, former students who have traveled, or professors from ODU to come in and speak. A lot of times they do a fun, just on the announcements, a word of the day or a phrase of the day. And so you can learn a little bit of, Chinese or Japanese, promoted to the whole school.
Yeah, so how many languages are taught and what grade levels?
Well, now we have, of course, Spanish, French, Latin, and Chinese. And those 4 are all offered in middle school through high school in all the Norfolk Public Schools. But then Chinese is actually also offered in our elementary schools, specifically just Richard Bowling and Larchmont Elementary.
What foreign language activities are being held, or what type of instruction at Rosemont Academy of Studies? The Academy of International Studies at Rosemont. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't, I hate to overstep because I don't know all of, that's their bags. I don't want to overstep on a lot of the projects they have, but I know that just last week I was there. They had an an international night, and it was a bit of a fair, and so they had lots of, all the world language teachers were there in authentic dress, and they had a lot of the student projects on display. Lots of cool artifacts and art from the various countries around the world, but a really important part of that is a close connection that the Academy has with Norfolk Sister Cities. And so the Norfolk Sister Cities teamed up with them for that intercultural fair and brought, I think the coolest part was the International Feast, I've called it, because they had lumpia from Susan's Kitchenette, they had samosas from Nawab, like a traditional Indian dish. They had croissant sandwiches from La Brioche on Granby Street.
Oh, wow.
And a variety of international candies and cookies. And so it was a really cool event. A lot of family was there.
Well, I'm sure we recognize it in our secondary schools, middle and high schools, right, where foreign language is taught. So tell us about the Virginia Seal of Biliteracy.
Yeah, that's an exciting opportunity. The Seal of Biliteracy, it's designated from the Virginia Department of Education, but it's awarded to students who have proven attainment in English proficiency and in another world language. Now, the typical way that can be done is, so if a student graduates, they get a seal on their diploma if they've demonstrated attainment of English, which is just if they've passed their English courses and passed their English SOLs. But then there's a litany of other ways that they can demonstrate proficiency in another world language. A real common way, and we had several students from Granby High School last year to earn this seal, a real common way is to earn a 3 or higher on an AP language exam, a 4 or higher on the IB exam. But then there are also several standardized tests from ACTFL, which is a world language organization. You can demonstrate proficiency on those tests, especially if it was a less common language here, such as Arabic or Russian. you can prove your proficiency that way. And so really, if there were any questions, you can always reach out. If you think you might have a proficiency in 2 languages, you can contact your school counselor, myself, your world language teacher, and say, hey, I think I might like to try. And the neat thing about it, though, it does 2 things, that seal. It does certify, it serves as evidence that you are a culturally competent, linguistically competent person in 2 languages. So to an employer or a university, it's proof, actual evidence that you have the skill. But it's also a little symbolic, I think, from Virginia, because it emphasizes the value that we have on intercultural competencies and students' abilities to interact in a global context.
How long has this been in existence, and how many students do you think we have?
Virginia approved it, I believe, in 2016, but then they were still working on, ways to demonstrate evidence of bilingualism, the way we define it. And so last year was the first year we had a large number of students actually apply and receive the seal.
So if we have students who are speaking Spanish and learning English, does that qualify them for that?
Yes, and that's what's really exciting. I think historically, or when it started, what they had in mind was really encouraging, folks that are born in the United States to learn another language and say, hey, here's this cool seal that you can get. But really what it does is, for decades, there have been students in our U.S. schools who have another language other than English, and then they struggle to learn English, and they've really been without a seal. I mean, it's great that they leave school with 2 languages, but this now allows them to get a special recognition for, look, you have a mastery of your own language, which is hard to maintain sometimes when you immigrate here and you hear English all the time. So it just, it verifies their skill set in having literacy in their own language and meeting all of our state criteria for English proficiency.
So will they, along with this seal, will they get a special robe or
actually
medallion?
we're talking about that.
That's great.
I haven't asked the powers that be yet, but I do feel like, recently I was hearing the criteria for those cords, and you want them to be exclusive. I mean, anything that just makes you distinguishable at graduation needs to be of academic rigor, needs to be applicable to all schools, and I really think that meets the criteria, so we'll see. But
right.
We haven't formally asked for that, but I think it fits. Of course, I'm biased.
Oh, of course. No, you're not biased. You're just passionate. We've also had some students recently apply to the Governor's School World Languages Summer Academy. I guess the application process is closed, but tell us briefly what that opportunity is about.
Yes, and we need to do a whole show on this one. I'll come back.
We can bring you back. We can definitely bring you back.
Yeah, no, it's a really unique and cool opportunity, and I didn't realize until recently that we're one of the few states that offers something like this. But it is a summer academy. It's 3 weeks long in July for students to really experience the closest thing you could other than traveling someplace else. It's a full immersion experience for the Spanish and French. For Latin and Japanese, it's partial immersion. Certainly because Latin is not a spoken language and not as many of our students have a foundation of Japanese before they get there, so they cut them a little bit of a break. But it is a 3-week-long contract they sign where you don't bring your cell phone, you don't bring your own personal reading books in English, you can't bring any English material with you. And your days are about 16 hours long. And from morning until about lunch, you have actual classes in the language. And then your afternoon times are spent doing cool project or other experiences related to the language. Sometimes it's actually learning another language, like Russian. Here's some ancient Greek. We'll expose you to that. Sometimes it's a whole cooking class, or they're working on a play in the target language. Just a lot of cool projects, but there's not a lot of free time. It's they do emphasize that it's not a camp; it is an academic program. But man, the kids that go have a tremendous.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they sign a contract that says they will not speak English for those 3 weeks.
Wow, that is exciting.
And of course, they make exceptions for if there's health emergencies or if something happens at home. And they're held at Washington and Lee University.
That's a great opportunity.
Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too because the kids get to learn what it feels like to sleep in a college dorm room and eat college food, and they walk across campus. So it's a really unique and cool experience.
It is. It sounds like a great experience. So, what if some folks are interested in teaching foreign language? What would they need to do to become a teacher in our district?
Oh man, we're always welcoming applications from folks that want to teach world languages. Look on our website, and I think one smart thing that we do is when we advertise world language positions, we don't even say the language. because we are somewhat flexible. I mean, if somebody was certified in Russian and we had a great Russian teacher, that might be something that we can begin to offer. So absolutely go to our human resources page, apply. We're loving the more applicants, the better.
Yeah, so I've heard you, I said foreign language, you said world language, so you've been interchanging that. So what's the difference and what is that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked me. That is something you'll probably see changing on a lot of our program documents and our websites, the shift from using the term world languages to describe what we're studying and what we're teaching, and foreign language. I know the VDOE has now adopted that term, and really it's not so much political correctness as it is just accuracy. I mean, the reality is when the word foreign means strange and unfamiliar and distant, and that's not what a lot of these languages are. I mean, certainly for us in the United States, Spanish is not foreign.
Right.
Right? I mean, and so it's just a language of the world. And so I like the fact that, again, it brings you into that connectedness again. These aren't foreign things.
Right.
We're such a smaller world now.
Yeah,
so it
and
just
it sounds
speaks to that.
better too, world languages.
Absolutely.
Yeah, encapsulates a lot of folks. So any new trends in world languages here in Norfolk Public Schools?
Well, actually we have the ODU Spelling Bee coming up, so we're hoping to get some interest in that. It's something that ODU hosts. And I think, again, it's to promote, it's always at the end of March to promote foreign language awareness. But for us internally, last year, we adopted, it was our first year of these new textbooks that the division purchased and that we adopted. So we have new updated foreign language resources. But now our goal is really to begin a shift in our curriculum. Traditionally, if you remember, folks my age, the way we learned foreign language and the way I taught foreign language 20 years ago was that traditional way of grammar and verb charts and memorization, and it was very elevated in its grammar study.
Right.
Whereas now we're understanding that's also why you graduate and you took 4 years of French and you don't remember anything and you can't say anything because there wasn't any meaning and connectedness behind it.
I can't say that because my sister teaches French.
I know, that's right. Oh shoot, that was a bad example.
I can't say that.
Yeah, but that's how a lot of folks are. They study in high school, but then they forget it or they can't use it or they never used it outside the classroom. So the idea now is that you want to teach to proficiency, and what proficiency in language looks like now is your ability to communicate and to be understood. So so if you used the past tense wrong in one verb when you're speaking, that doesn't necessarily impact that person's ability to understand what you're saying. And so I like that now, again, the focus on language instruction is students negotiating meaning, pulling meaning out of the unfamiliar, not worrying about being perfect at first. Now, as we get up into the upper levels, sure. But the focus is on just being able to communicate thoughts and ideas, to the extent that they can be understood. And so, it goes from marking every accent mark incorrectly or every misspelled word or, memorizing verb charts to, what does proficiency look like? Well, I can describe my friend. I can describe my family members. When historically, I think, your learning objective for the day might have been students will use adjective agreement correctly. Whereas now it's, instead of adjectives, you focus on my ability to describe things and people. So it's a real life context for students.
I think you have excited folks to want to learn more about foreign languages, students and their parents. What great opportunities, and we're looking forward to a great Foreign Language Week. So thank you for coming on the show today to talk about foreign language and world language.
Yes.
Yes, world language. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.
It was a banner day for Norfolk Public Schools at the Class 5 state track meet in Hampton. The girls from Maury High became Norfolk's first state indoor or outdoor team champion, winning the event with 62 points. Seniors Junice Hasbury, Maeve Stiles, and Micaiah McCounts led the charge. Stiles won her first ever state indoor track title, winning the 1,600-meter run. Also, she finished second in the 3,200 meter. Hasbury finished second in the 55-meter hurdles and third in the 55-meter dash, while McCounts was third in the 55-meter hurdles. The quartet of Naya Sally, Destiny Evans, McCounts, and Hasbury won the 4x200 meter relay in a time of 1 minute 42.63 seconds. Congrats to Coach Iman Islam, his coaching staff, and his girls as they amassed 62 points, beating second place Glen Allen, who had 41. Congrats also goes to Norview's Cameron Winder Hill. The senior took home the state long jump title with a leap of 23 feet, 2 inches. Norview's 4x200 meter relay team of Dion Davis, Michael Pfeiffer, Ashawn Johnson, and Winder Hill placed second in the state with a time of 1 minute 31.2 seconds. Much more information on these stories on upcoming editions of NPS Now. But in the meantime, let's take a look at Norview's and Maury's 4x200 meter relay races.
Welcome back to NPS Now. With me today is a very special guest. We have Livia Berg, who is the Operations Manager for School Nutrition. Welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you so much for having me.
I enjoy having you on the show every year, or several times throughout the year, to talk about the great things happening in school nutrition, but we're getting ready to talk about National School Breakfast Week. So welcome today.
Thank you. Yeah, so this year our theme is out of this world, so be on the lookout in our cafeterias for some out of this world characters serving you some breakfast.
Okay, what activities or special foods are going to be served during this week?
So you'll see a few different decorations and giveaways at the elementary school level of different aliens, spaceships, to go along with our out of this world theme to really encourage our breakfast eaters. And we'll be serving different menu items that including a sausage and cheese slider, which I've tested with high school students at the beginning of the school year, and they really liked it, so we had to bring it back and test it with everyone. And a few of our schools will be doing other taste tests for breakfast menu items for next school year, which include a chicken sausage slider, different croissants, different waffles. So we're excited to get student feedback to help plan our menu for next school year.
We do a lot, so tell me, how many breakfasts do we serve daily or in a week?
So on average, we serve about 16,000 breakfasts daily.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but we're happy to feed our kids because we know that breakfast is the fuel to get them through the school day and help them learn.
So what do we typically serve the kids for breakfast?
Well, each breakfast they'll have something like either a breakfast pizza, chorizo sunrise wrap. We also have items like Greek yogurt and graham crackers, and we serve fruit every day where kids can have fresh apple slices, juice, and as well as milk.
So it's a great variety for all students, and even ones who may have dietary restrictions.
Yes, and we definitely work with our families with dietary restrictions, and there's something that all of our students can eat no matter what their restrictions are.
Yeah, so how long have we been serving breakfast here in Norfolk Public Schools?
We were talking about this in our office the other day. We've been doing it since the beginning of the school breakfast program, which has been over, we'd say, like 25 years. And what we've been doing, and of course the program has changed over the years too.
Okay.
Where a big push is serving breakfast in the classroom, where kids can eat in the classroom. That way, if they're running a little bit late to school, because we all know stuff happens in the morning, that way they can eat breakfast in the classroom. Their friends are eating, encourages more kids to eat, and that way they have less behavior issues during the day, they learn more, and they're full.
Yeah. So how has it changed over the years?
So with that, it's traditionally in the past, it's been eating breakfast in the cafeteria before the school day starts. So let's say you're running a few minutes behind that you might not have a chance to eat breakfast. Now there's no reason to not eat breakfast. You can always come to our cafeteria and grab it on your way to class. And we definitely serve more fresh fruits during breakfast. And as the school lunch program as well, we've gotten healthier, less sodium, less saturated fat, so it's a healthy, nutritious meal for students to eat.
Yeah, things have changed since I've been in school, and yeah, even the variety and opportunities with lunch and with breakfast has really changed over the years. So tell me, why is it important for our students to have breakfast first thing in the morning?
Well, I know for me personally, I can't start the day without something eating without being a little hangry. So for our kids,
that's the word for today.
That's the word, hangry. So with kids too, it's the same thing. Can you really concentrate on learning something new if you're just thinking about how hungry you are? So starting the day off with a good bite to eat with a healthy, nutritious meal is really the best way to set you up to succeed for the school day and then for the rest of your life as well.
So what's some other exciting things school nutrition has coming up?
Well, March 15th is Child and Adult Care Food Program Week, which stands for we serve supper at most of our schools and an after-school snack as well. So we'll be celebrating that, and we'll have more details on that to come soon. And this school year, we've been just having a lot of fun with different menu items. In March, we'll be serving a chicken curry with pita and brown rice, as well as Indian seasoned chickpeas. We've been tasting a few different cultures around the world as well. Yeah,
so that's really, like I said before, school lunch has changed since we were in school. So tell me, what do you do for students for spring break?
For spring break, this started over this past winter break. We're working with our recreation sites and our libraries to make sure kids over the breaks have meals that they can eat. So we plan to continue doing that and expanding from 2 to potentially 3 sites, and testing out some new fun menu items as well.
Okay, will they be serving breakfast and lunch, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How will that work?
We're definitely serving lunch at these sites, and we're working with the recreation centers to determine if we'll be able to serve breakfast as well. Over winter break, we did just lunch, but we're hoping to expand it to provide more meals as well.
And we have a lot of students to feed, and it takes a lot of staff to do what you do. So if someone's interested in becoming an employee of School Nutrition, what would they need to do?
Please come help serve up smiles in the lunch line, because we can't do it without a great staff to help serve the kids. So we are participating in a job fair that's held here on March 21st. So come out there, you'll do an interview, we'll get you the information for the next steps, including information on how to proceed.
Right, so the job fair will be held here at our school administration building here at 800 East City Hall Avenue. And what type of positions are open, so if someone wants to come, they'll have an idea what they can apply for?
So we have our school nutrition assistant positions open, and we have full-time positions, which are 5-hour days. We also have part-time positions, which range between 4 to 4.5-hour days. And we also have cafeteria monitors, if you're just looking for a little bit to do during your day, can range between half an hour to an hour and to 3 hours, where you kind of help the kids during lunch open up their milks, open up any of their utensils.
So really you have, so what's the titles of the positions that are open, so they have an idea?
School nutrition assistants and cafeteria monitors.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing this valuable information about School Breakfast Week and our school nutrition program. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, please be sure to email us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.